Hello and welcome to today's video. Let's talk about the secrets of success for owner-operators. Now, met a lot of people over a lot of years that their dream and their goal and what they really wanted to do in trucking is own their own truck, to be an owner-operator. And that's a noble dream. There's absolutely nothing wrong with that. I think most truckers think about that, at least consider it at some point in their career. Other people are obsessed with it from the time that they get into trucking. But here's the thing: the first the most important thing before you run out and buy a truck or get involved in some kind of lease purchase program or do anything else toward actually becoming an owner operator is to gather information and become informed, to get yourself an education so that you understand the owner part of the business. When you become an owner, even though you're still driving it and operating the truck, you're taking on a whole new job, a whole new career. And a lot of folks don't realize that, and they make the mistake right out of the gate of thinking because they're very good at driving the truck and they've got that part pretty much down, that it's not going to be a big deal to be successful as an owner operator. And they are sadly mistaken more often than not. It's a whole different skill set. Now, the good news is it's one that's relatively easy for you to learn if you put the effort and time into it up front. Go out and gather that information, learn the things that you need to learn, look at the different options that are available to you, and then make intelligent decisions before you just go out and start doing things that might not be in your best interest. For example, how do you want to become an owner operator? Do you want to go out and get your own authority and own your own truck and your own trailer and control your own fate, where you're going to go out and get your own loads either through brokers or direct to the shippers themselves or some combination of the two, where you're going to be responsible for the whole aspect and everything of your business, including your DOT compliance, marketing and sales, taxes, back office support, dealing with customers, your shippers and consignees and brokers and everybody else, scheduling, handling all the maintenance, everything on your truck on your own? Or do you want to operate under some other company's authority? Do you want to go out and buy a tractor, perhaps, not necessarily a trailer, and then lease your services and the services and use of that equipment onto that other trucking company and operate under their authority and let them take care of the behind the scenes stuff? Let them take care of most of that FMCSA stuff, the DOT compliance, the qual files, the accident registers, drug and alcohol testing, the different things that have to be filed, annual reviews, maintenance records, all that kind of stuff. They can handle the bulk of that for you. You just get a settlement check every week based on your productivity, so you can focus in large part on operating the truck. There are some owner things you still need to be aware of and take care of, but they're doing a lot of the behind the scenes stuff almost like you're a company driver. And even that, what company do you want to go to work with? Some companies are going to control you almost like you are a company driver. They're not going to give you a very wide range of things that you can choose from. They're going to give you a narrow little focus thing as far as where your loads are going to come from, where you're going to run to, and that kind of stuff. Others will have access to load boards, internal and external, may let you work with some external customers, let you go out and get your own freight and truly run your own business, and don't care how much or how little you do. There's going to be a certain amount of revenue that they expect to get from you every month. They expect you to show up and do some work, so they're making their profit. And beyond that, whether you make a whole bunch more or just a little bit more or no more, they don't care. It's up to you. But it is important to you that you look into that and understand the differences and know the differences before you sign on board with somebody that you might be choosing a path that is not in alignment with what you want to do. Another route that some people take is a lease purchase program. I don't like lease purchase programs. The only one that I like is one I designed years ago, and it was designed to truly be beneficial to the drivers. And I did that because I was a recruiter and a personnel director for a company, and I was losing too many folks. So I set up a program that was more than fair to them, but that kept them with our company, and it allowed them to eventually own the truck. It was a viable program that they could complete. but it helped me stop from losing drivers. What was happening before that is people would go sign up for a lease purchase program. They would wash out of it, fail, but they would still be gone attempting to do that for a year or a year and a half. So we lost their services for that time frame, and that was bad for them and it was bad for the company I was with. So I set up a program that was much more fair to them, that they could switch back and forth. If they chose not to complete the program, they could just revert back to company drivers without any kind of a loss whatsoever. And it was a great deal, but it was the only program of its nature that was ever set up like that. I've studied and reviewed hundreds of lease purchase programs. Every single one I've ever looked at, other than the one we created, is set up to transfer the vast majority of the liability, the cost, and everything that's negative upon the driver, and the company still makes its profit and the driver loses. The driver, really all they're getting in most cases is that coveted title, owner operator, but they're working harder, they're spending less time at home, they're making less net money, and most of them will never see their name on the title for that truck. At least that's my experience and the things I've seen with the hundreds of lease purchase programs I've looked at and the folks I've known that have gone into these things. So, caveat emptor, buyer beware, you decide for yourself, but I generally don't like lease purchase programs. However, a lot of people out there, recruiting organizations and companies, are going to tell you that they've got the greatest lease purchase program known to man, and it's just what you want to do, and you're going to make all this money, all you got to do is sign a dotted line. So you need to be aware of that. You need to be aware of the pros and the cons and the realities, and you need to make up your own mind. So again, how do you want to do it? Do you want to get your own authority, buy your own truck and trailer? Do you just want to go buy a tractor and lease your services and the services of your equipment onto a company like Landstar or some other company? Or do you want to go and sign up for one of these lease purchase programs and hope that you find a good one out there and that you somehow survive it and make your way through it? So again, before you do any of that stuff, what I highly recommend is that you do some homework, do some research, get some education so you're making informed decisions and informed choices. Regardless of how you go about doing it, you need to understand, again, there's a lot of things you have to learn and you need to be cognizant of if you want to be an owner-operator in any capacity. You are in a business of your own. You're going to have to be able to negotiate with people in order to get favorable rates and to get more money so that you can be profitable in your business. You're going to have to make sure maintenance gets done on your truck. Regardless of what capacity you're an owner-operator in, it's in your ultimate best interest to make certain that that maintenance is getting done on time or ahead of schedule even, and that you have the records to prove it and that everything's taken care of. So the equipment's being maintained and you have proof that it's being maintained. Depending on what path that you choose to get into trucking, you may need to do a lot of education in regulatory compliance, risk management, administration of a trucking business, and so forth. So again, if you're going to get your own authority, you really need to understand these things before you go out and attempt to haul your first load. You have to know where you're going to get your freight from, how to negotiate with brokers and shippers, and how to handle these things. If at some point in time you're going to begin to try to hire drivers, that's a whole nother can of worms and a whole nother level of learning that you need to do. Now, the good news is practically every major company today that's profitable started with just one or a handful of trucks and trailers and built empires in trucking. And you could potentially do the same thing if you've got the right drive, motivation, ambition, you get the right information, and you take consistent action to do it, and you're willing to pay the price. The price for a lot of people is also going to be being gone. If you have a situation where you want to be home every night and off every weekend, or you have to because you have circumstances at home that require that, you need to think twice about becoming an owner-operator. It's going to be very difficult to build a successful business as an owner-operator if you have to be home all the time. If you can get in the truck, well, the door shut and run your business from the truck and from the truck stops and the shippers and the consignees, and do what you need to do till you get it up big enough to where you can begin to do some other things and have more time at home after you're successful and you've got everything under control. That's a distinct possibility. There's other things that you can do to take it to the next level if you want to do that. But you've got to get from where you're at to that point. And that usually for most people is going to require a lot of time in that truck out on the road, running, picking up, delivering freight, and doing what you need to do. And when you're not doing that, you're on the phone and you're on the computer and you're doing the other aspects of managing your business as the owner part. So those are some things that you need to consider and take into account if you really want to get into trucking as an owner operator. I've seen a lot of people do it successfully. I've seen a lot of people go down in flames and fail miserably. The ones that fail usually fail for one or two reasons. Either they don't take the time to learn the things they need to know to achieve trucking business success, or they do know what they need to do and they're not willing to do it or not able to do it. Again, they're not able to spend the time that they need to away from home, out on the road, and they're fooling themselves in today's environment and thinking that they're going to do something like a dedicated account where they're going to be home every night and off every weekend. But again, it comes back usually to those two things. You have to both know what to do and you have to do it consistently. So if there were a secret to trucking business success, a secret to being a successful owner operator, that would be it. You need to learn the things you need to know before you just jump into it. And you need to be both willing and able to put the time and the effort into the business consistently until you get your trucking business up to where it can support other things. Now, one of the ways to get it to the next level is to begin to operate a fleet. We'll talk about that in a future video. That's a whole nother level of complication. But the first part of that is making an informed, intelligent decision on how you want to get started as an owner operator, getting that up and running and successful. Then you can look into the possibility of taking it to the next level and becoming a fleet owner. Hope you found that information useful. Thanks for watching the video. Go ahead and subscribe while you're here. Hit the little bell thing and get the notifications. And I'll talk to you again soon in the next video.